Hello, friends, and welcome into Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. You're about to hear a clip from the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM, Chicago, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday nights with myself, Devin Tingle, Paul Shivari, and Dan Marver. If you would like to check out the entire show, check us out over on SoundCloud at WCPT and wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. And of course, if you would like to see the video version of the show, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and you can be interactive with the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. And please hit the little bell, subscribe button on youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network if you would like to see the video version of the podcast. If you would like to support us, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. There you can become a producer. You get our weekly NFL confidence picks there at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have a bunch of awesome tiers if you would like to support us in that way. We're also on Teespring, teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. If you would like some swag, check us out at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves just in time for the holiday season. Now enjoy this segment from the latest edition of the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM Chicago, where facts matter, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Enjoy. Now, one of the bright spots in the winter sports landscape here in Chicago have been the 8-4 Chicago Bulls. Marvelous one. Ooh. This has been a fun November and October. And, just to kind of give a outline and an idea of what we've seen from this Bulls team since in the last 2 weeks. And since November 1st, this team has beaten the Celtics, lost to the Sixers back-to-back, which we'll talk to about one of their big weaknesses in the season. Then they went on to beat the Brooklyn Nets in Chicago, a huge win. Then they beat Luka in Chicago, and a tough game against Golden State as they make their West Coast trip. Steph Curry looks better than ever. He looks healthy, and Golden State's going to be dangerous if Klay Thompson comes back and if they stay healthy. And, of course, currently playing the LA Clippers in Los Angeles. With all that, we have seen a lot of fun, Marvelous One, even with Zach LaVine hurt, even with Nikola Vucevic now on the protocol, which is going to hurt this team for the next week or so. What have been your thoughts over the last 14 days of this Bulls team heading into this tough stretch into their schedule?
Well, this tough stretch is complicated by the things you just mentioned, particularly Vucevic being out with the COVID protocol, because they're going to need some rebounding and inside power on this road trip, which would be tough to begin with. Now, my daughter was at the Dallas game, and she said how remarkable the team is compared to the previous years. With they've got, she likes the ball, and he's contributing, and of course LaVine is the high scorer in most games, but they're going to have their hands full. They have a 2-game homestand in the Staples Center coming up where they play the Clippers and the Lakers back to back. So that should be challenging. And then Portland is always very tough. So, I mean, without being full strength, I'm worried about the next 3 games, to be honest with you. But up till now, this start has been terrific.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. And just to give the awesome audience here of the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM, you have the back-to-back like Marvelous One was talking about, and of course that game against Portland on Wednesday, November 17th. But look at the rest of November. You have a matchup against the Nuggets. Then you play the Knicks at home. You play the Pacers at home. Then you're going to Houston and Orlando to try to get right. And then right back you're playing the Miami Heat and the Charlotte Hornets. And then again to the Knicks and the Nets, but this time in New York City and in Brooklyn, respectively. So the Bulls are definitely going to be tested in these next few weeks, these next months, this whole winter season. And we knew this was going to be the case as we look at the standings right now. The Wizards at 9-3, the Nets at 9-4, the Bulls at 8-4, the surprise Cavaliers at 9-5, the Heat at 8-5, the Sixers at 8-6, the Knicks at 7-6, and finally in the 8th seed, the Hornets at 7-7. And just some news, Marver. This came from Casey Johnson on Twitter. Kobe White is playing 5-on-5 with player development coaches and others now as Bulls practice ends. Billy Donovan said White won't play versus the Clippers tonight, which makes sense because he begins a back-to-back. Donovan said the window of possibility for White debut opens Monday versus the Lakers. So you lost your big man, but you're going to get a scorer that's going to come off the bench. Where do you think Kobe White's going to fit into this because we've seen how Io has played. We've seen how well the bench has played. How do you think Kobe White mixes into this roster?
Well, you can never have enough ball handling, and I see a lot of the good teams have a guard that distributes some, and I think he'd be good at that because in the NBA sometimes there's a little bit too much one-on-one, unlike college, which I really enjoy, where there's a lot of ball movement. So I could see that he could contribute in that vein.
So, what have you enjoyed the most from this Bulls team? Like, has it been the way that they've exploited a lot of different attributes from the players that they have, from Caruso, from an Ayu, from a DeMar DeRozan and a Zach LaVine who's playing hurt right now? Has it been them being able to get over injuries of Patrick Williams and the injury that Zach LaVine is having now? Is it their defense? How active they are? Has it been Lonzo Ball? What has been the surprise for you that you've enjoyed the most from this Bulls team heading into the second month, deep into the second month of the season?
Winning. Winning is all cures all ails. But speaking of winning, I think the Clippers are going for their 8th in a row, aren't they? So I mean that will be challenging too. But I've enjoyed the winning. I've enjoyed, I think Donovan is a history of being a terrific coach, and they're lucky to have him. And I think that he'll be able to do, to bring the most out of this team. And again, they only have a handful of players that returned that are still here from 2 years ago, and that's a good thing. And new management. So they really needed this kind of house cleaning, because they really ever after they made the moves where they went downhill with Butler and others, it seemed like there was no hope. But there's hope now.
And it's legitimate hope. And this is something that we've been speaking about either on my personal show over at Sports from the Couch or here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM. You're joining Dan Marver, Paul Shivari, Devin Tingle, myself, Mike Mercado, is how important it was for Zach LaVine to be on the Olympic team. And I believe it was a piece done on The Athletic that him and Draymond Green got very close. And to me, what's been very exciting about this Bulls team, beyond the winning and beyond seeing what DeMar DeRozan has kind of legitimized the Bulls around the league when it comes to respect, you even hear about Kevin Durant, kind of giving them their flowers. And it's something I've always said here on the show. Listen to the players when they're unprovoked, talked about you. But I think Zach LaVine has been playing great basketball. And he's putting up great numbers, but he's not the focal point, if you get my drift. He's the superstar. He's the man. But it seems like he's just doing everything, that he's a part of everything, that this team, even with his injury, it kind of goes through him. But the game doesn't close out through him. It closes out through DeMar. Lonzo Ball is bringing up the ball throughout most of the offense. Nikola Vucevic is getting a lot of the rebounds. Like, you see a lot of the differences of people doing their jobs, but everything is still going through LaVine one way or another. And I think him going to the Olympics and learning what it takes to win, and that it's not just about your stats. We already know that you're one of the great cats in this game that's going to put it up and make people understand that you could do whatever you want on that court. But it's what you're going to do now if you go to your first playoffs. Let's not get it twisted. I am loving what this Bulls team is doing. All of us here on the Sports Cubicle love the Chicago Bulls. Everybody listening to us in the Chicagoland area. This team, same thing we can equate it to a Bears team where they haven't done anything substantially in the playoffs yet. They look like they can. But I think that's the one thing that we're all kind of waiting for now, is we're waiting them to gel and see how they play against tough competition, and then to see what happens when it is push comes to shove in the playoffs. And what's fascinating is I think the X factor, talent's going to be equal. The Bulls are as talented as any other team in the Eastern Conference, minus, let's say, the Nets, the Sixers, and the Bucks because of height. But they're going to be in every series, and I think the X factor is Zach LaVine and his Olympic run. What do you think that has played into this?
Well, I think that experience can't hurt at all. I think that for me, the X factor is actually DeMar DeRozan, because I think he's like, what, 6th in the league in scoring? He's a reliable scorer, so they don't have to rely on LaVine all the time. So I think that's a key. And it's a good thing they're in the East, because of the East, I think it's going to be easier to make the playoffs than the West, frankly, based upon past years, because usually the West and the East, the West has the advantage in the games against them. So it's going to be tough against the West, particularly on the road, particularly on this road trip. But at least they don't have, finally, it's some logic. They don't have to travel between the Clippers and the Lakers. I mean, I don't recall it ever happening before. And you talked about Brooklyn and the Knicks. I mean, there's some sense in the scheduling finally. I'm glad to see that too.
And if it's fun, right? Like, I think the NBA, and maybe it's because the Bulls are really interesting this season, and we're engaged much more than we've been in years previously, but it feels like the NBA is fun. Same thing with the NFL. I think the idea of just some of these matchup making and the fact that you get to see back-to-back nights against LA, back-to-back nights against the New York teams and the Brooklyn team, when it comes to it being big markets too. And, I want to get your take on this. DeMar DeRozan legitimizing the Chicago Bulls. I've been saying this forever, where you get guys talking about your team, talking about how they like some of the players, that this team is somebody you have to watch out for. You saw, I believe it was Hardaway Jr. saying that the Bulls are back. How much do you think DeMar DeRozan has done that? Because he got lost in San Antonio, and him coming out to one of the huge markets and doing what he's been doing the last 2 months.
Well, in terms of legitimacy, how about a primetime ESPN game on Friday night against the Warriors?
Yeah.
Obviously the Warriors are a draw, but when was the last time that occurred? So I think that's legitimacy right there. So yeah, you got to have a number of weapons in the NBA, and you look at the teams that have been successful, and that's been generally true. They can't, you can't rely on one guy, and you got to have some shooting too. I mean, I'd like to see them a little bit better from the outside. And the 3-point shooting can really make a difference. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I've watched some college games, and some of these teams, if they shoot 50% from 3-point, all of a sudden it's like 50 to 25. So that can make a big difference too in terms of the outside shooting with that 3-point opportunity.
And we saw it against Golden State, like how easily, and Steph was if not the greatest to ever do it, but we saw how it just changes the game. And the Bulls are amongst the bottom of the league of 3-point attempts. But I also think that that's going to come over time when the offense gels a little bit more. I also think that's just kind of what this team is. This team does have a lot of guys that like to get to the rim, that like to pass the ball around. You do have to hit 3-pointers in this game. But I think if the Bulls are able to be a confident offense, a potent offense that maybe doesn't shoot as many threes as we would like, but if they're active on defense, I think that counterbalances it, because then it takes the game a little bit of a slower pace. And then when they're able to open up a little bit in the open court, I think that might be a route they would take against certain teams, especially big teams, if they're able to just make it a speedy game. But with that, where do you think the Bulls will do when it comes to matchups? Because we do know that Nikola is going to come back. But we also have evidence that Mark Eversley and AK are active GM and presidents of all these of the Chicago Bulls. They love to make moves to get what they want and to see if their process can be sped up. Do you think they go after a big man? Do you think Kobe White or any of these young guys that we see on the bench, where do you think the front office is thinking for the future if there's a run on this team?
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Look at it. Kind of like the Cubs in a way. I mean, if they're in the playoff hunt, they'll probably stand pat. But if they're not, then I expect them to make moves. I mean, not to the degree where they get rid of 3 stars, but yeah, a big man might be helpful, but there's a premium on that. I think that they're okay with their nucleus now. I mean, I'm surprised at how well everything's been put together here with a lot of people that are new to playing with one another. That was the key thing for me as to how they would, what kind of chemistry they'd have, and it seems fine. And I mean, other than a few little changes here and there, I don't see where they have to really do a lot. I mean, if they win, then that's great, and you don't need to change anything. If they fall into a slump, then I would expect some moves.
Yeah, my huge hope is that it's a move that they're able to do with money. Somebody gets cut from a team, somebody doesn't like the minutes that they have, and the Bulls are able to make some type of maneuver when it just comes to cash. Because you don't want to mess with this nucleus. And I also don't want to see them trade away guys for somebody like a Bagley, who might be a really nice player, but we see what's going on in Sacramento, and I don't think you want to bring that to the Chicago team right now when you're in a position to try to win right now. So if you could get, and this is a name that I've heard around, and I don't know the actual flexibility of this being able to be done, but it is an ex-Bull in Thaddeus Young. I think being able to get somebody like that onto this roster right now, you become a legitimate pain in the butt to a team that's just trying to win the NBA Finals. I think you and I, including with Devin and Paul, don't necessarily have title aspirations for this Bulls team right now, but we have a tough out, try to win a series. Heck, can you make a run at the conference finals type of feeling for this Bulls team? And I think getting a veteran center who's just going to be there to help keep a team stable, get some 5 fouls, and try to get 7 rebounds a game. And that can get you over the top to some of these, lower seeds in the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely. That's absolutely correct. I mean, a young guy like Marvin Bagley, I mean, obviously he's hurt now, but He's from Duke, 22 years old. For the future, that might be something to think about. But I think that they should consider having a little bit more depth in the post. That's absolutely correct. I agree with that.
So it's going to be an interesting next few weeks and heading into the winter months, the cold winter months here in Chicago. I think this Bulls team, they're going to get tested early. They're overcoming a lot of storms right now, and we know in the NBA, especially in this league right now, and in something that we haven't really covered, but the NBA has been playing a lot of games in the calendar year. From the bubble to last season to right now. They're just now getting back to a routine, so it's going to be an attrition thing, but I think this Bulls team will come together. I think we've seen the big injuries. Hopefully, knock on wood if you're a Bulls fan. You've seen the Patrick Williams. You've seen the COVID stuff. If this team could get healthy as they can, and they can make a maneuver here or there, they're going to be a fun out. And I think it's something that the Marvelous One is going to keep his eye on when it comes to what they're doing on defense, how they're incorporating Kobe White on offense. And here on the Sports Cubicle, we want to know, how are you enjoying this Bulls season? Who has been the bright spot? Has it been Alex Caruso? Has it been the new bench mob? What about DeMar DeRozan coming in? Is Zach LaVine earning that max contract? Let us know your thoughts on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV. We have a jam-packed show here. It's a fun one here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM. For the Marvelous One, Dan Marver, Devin Tingle, Paul Shivari, I'm Mike Mercado. Stay with us.